Hi everyone, Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple. And today we're going to talk a little bit about remote working. It seems like it's a little bit of a dated subject at this point, since most people have been working from home for probably the last 3 years, but I've been doing this for 25. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the big question I have a lot when people are trying to hire us, because we do work remotely, and that is, if you're remote, how do I know if you're doing your job? So, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does a lot for us, helps us grow our channel. Also, please feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed these videos, if it was entertaining, informative, and whether or not it's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, if there's a particular subject you'd like me to address, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Okay, moving on. As we all know, remote working has become really widespread. And I've also noticed that a lot of business owners, particularly in the financial services, I may be missing some because that's the world I live in, are really trying to get office workers back into the office. And they've got some good reasons for that. For one thing, they want to allow for networking among senior and junior personnel. That makes sense. But really what it comes down to is a lot of business owners, looking at you, Elon Musk, uh, don't really think that that employees are going to do as good a job remotely as they do in the office. So let's find out, how do you make sure that remote staff are doing their jobs? Um, Look, I foresaw this in the 70s when I was just a little girl. I really hate giving my age away like that, but I remember going into a Radio Shack, late 70s. It may have been when I was in middle school, so that would have been uh, very late 70s, 80, 81. And I saw Modem for the first time. And when the staff informed me of what that thing did, which was basically one computer could call another computer and they can talk. Um, I was really excited because I knew that my parents worked from home. They owned a small pest control business. I knew that my mother was very efficient in our office, in our home. Um, and now, and that was, like I said, that was back before there were PCs in every home. And I kind of laugh now. I remember when they were prohibitively expensive, personal computers were. I remember when the first Macintosh came out with the graphical user interface and a mouse. Um, and my parents still have several very large filing cabinets in the attic of their home that still have all of these documentation in it. So it's so much easier today with the internet, email, Slack, Microsoft Teams, all the resources that we have at our disposal that are so inexpensive. I mean, they're not expensive at all. And a lot of them are free. So there's no longer any need for information workers, at least, to be in the same physical space. We just don't necessarily need that. There may be times when it will come up. Retraining would come to mind, providing additional training. Yes, providing those networking opportunities, but it's no longer as necessary as it used to be. So managing remote staff presents its own set of challenges. And one of the big challenges is making sure everyone is doing their jobs properly. I want to kind of back up because I have my written blog posts that I'm going to be recording, but I also want to point out that just because someone's in an office with you does not mean that you know that they're doing their job. I really want to emphasize this. The last time I worked in an office, um, I've always been one to be able to get a lot done. And I've also always been quick and efficient with my time. So I've been one of those people that everyone else kind of hated. It's like I made everyone else look bad, which is why I'm self-employed today, or excuse me, a business owner. It's a different mindset. But I can tell you from personal experience that my boss, when I worked in an office, had no idea if I was actually working or not. She had no idea if any of us were actually working or not because it's all on the screen. And we've always been able to get away with not working if we don't want to. So I really want to kind of put that out here. That just because someone's in your office doesn't mean you know what they're doing, doesn't mean you know what they're, it doesn't mean anything. They can be cruising Facebook and you would never know. But I do believe that most employees, especially mine, really do. They want to work hard. They want to do a good job. They want to meet or exceed expectations. I really believe that, as long as they're appreciated for it. So let's look at how you can ensure that your staff are working productively, whether or not they're in front of you. First is to establish clear expectations. Before anybody starts working remotely or working at all, make sure everyone knows exactly what's expected of them. Not only what tasks need to be completed, but when they should be done, how much time should be devoted to each task, who needs to be informed when a task is finished, or if there's any issues, who do you ask for help. This ensures everyone remains on the same page. And again, it doesn't matter if they are in an office with you or if they are, in an office across the country from you. You need to be very clear in your expectations. And if your employees do not meet those expectations, then restate them again. Number 2, create trackable goals. We talk a lot about SMART goals, which would be specific, measurable, achievable. Can't remember the R. And time-based. So they're very specific. You want to make sure that you're setting goals for your staff that can be easily tracked and measured. So if your goal is to increase sales revenue by 10%, then you want to track the progress of your sales team to make sure that you know and they know whether or not they're meeting your goals. That way, if an employee isn't meeting expectations, you can take action quickly and provide support where needed. I'm a huge believer in supporting employees whenever possible. And then if anyone's exceeding expectations, you can reward them appropriately. And maybe even set higher goals for them, hopefully with compensation for that. And this one's critical. Number 3 is set regular check-ins. This is where a lot of business owners and clients actually tend to struggle, because the problem's not the staff that's working remotely. The problem is almost that the management can't see the staff and they don't know how to do these check-ins. At Bookkeeping Made Simple, we have a staff meeting every Monday morning. I talk to all of my bookkeepers. If I need to, I will break a few out and talk to them one-on-one. I am a firm believer that you compliment and reward in public, but anything that could possibly be negative, you do in private. And I'm also very careful to tell my staff that just because I'm mentioning a problem doesn't mean that you were the only one that had that problem. Because it may be something I need to talk about with the whole group. I never call anyone out by name if it's any sort of criticism. If it's criticism that I need to give one-on-one, then I give it one-on-one. I never, ever, ever call anyone out by name in staff meetings unless it's to compliment them. What we do in these weekly check-ins is we go over their clients. We just want to see how everything's going. I want to make sure that my staff remembers I'm here. I'm aware of them. I want to help them. So we want to make sure that you're doing that. You schedule regular meetings with each employee. You want to do it both collectively, and that should be like a 5 or 10 minute talk, possibly a little bit longer if you have specific training on an agenda. And you also want to have time with each employee privately, one-on-one. So you can go over any issues they may have regarding their work, any tasks assigned to them from others. We want to make sure that all of our clients are being taken care of all the time. So our meetings, I kind of keep track of, they're very, very good at doing their jobs. But if there's a problem that's come up, I want to know about it right away so I can help them help their clients. The biggest challenge working remotely presents, I think, is not that the employees are not doing their job. Like I said, I believe they do. It is that the managers don't know how to manage employees unless they can see them. And I think that's a management problem, not an employee problem. With the right strategies in place, it doesn't have to be overwhelming if you're trying to manage remote staff. You set clear expectations up front, you create trackable, clear goals, and you make sure that you have meetings scheduled with each individual employee fairly regularly throughout the year, so that you also, by the way, you also have to schedule some time to review quickly their work, make sure it's being done correctly. I just do these as quarterly reviews. Every so often I will kind of audit, in that I select a few clients from each employee and I look at them and see if everything looks good. And if those look good, then I assume most everything else looks pretty good too. But I do check their work fairly regularly, because I don't want months and months to go by and not be able to not be aware of any problems that are coming up. It seems to be working. We've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from our clients, so I'm excited about that. This is how you, as a manager or a business owner with remote staff, have peace of mind that your work is being done and it's being done properly. You do have to go back and check it. You do have to talk to your employees. You do still have to have those meetings. You're just not in the same place they are. And although I'm pretty sure everybody's all zoomed out by now, so to speak, the video chat is an excellent way to do that, especially if they're not in your immediate vicinity. Again, I firmly believe most employees want to do a good job for their employers as long as they feel appreciated and cared about. This is one of the great ways to do that, is to double check with them, to publicly in front of everybody tell them what they're doing right, and then privately make sure you review their work, have frequent meetings with them, and tell them what they can improve on. By the way, I never tell them what they're doing wrong. I tell them what they can improve on. So that has worked very well for me for the past 25 years. And there's a lot of upsides to remote work, which I'll go into in another video. Good luck, and I will look forward to talking to you soon.